And then a few upward strokes here in the front, very lightly. I put more pressure back here and then less pressure up front. Hey you guys, I'm Stacy and this is Gorgeously Aging, and today I'm going to do a makeup look that's appropriate for anybody, but especially women over 40. So I have a bunch of new products and some products that I've had for a while, but today I'm featuring the foundation. This is the Ambient Soft Glow Foundation by Hourglass, and I want to show you guys how this works on mature skin. Now, I just got this yesterday, so I'm going to be testing this out with you. So I have already started with my skincare, and I finished that off with the Josie Maran Argan Daily Tinted Moisturizer with an SPF of 47. I also used the Color Science Total Eye under my eyes for additional sun protection, and that also brightens the eyes, the under eye area a little bit. I suggest trying both of those products. The Josie Maran Argan Daily Tinted Moisturizer with the SPF is a product that is really wonderful for mature skin, dry skin. It may not be a favorite if you have really oily skin, but otherwise it's a fantastic product to infuse hydration into the skin, but also give you some nice sun protection. The Color Science Total Eye is something I always use. It's a little bit of a splurge, but it is totally worth it, and a tiny bit goes a long way. I will list all the products that I use and mention today in the description box below if you're interested in checking them out. So I'm going to start with the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Radiant Concealer. Now usually I'll do my foundation first and then concealer, but this concealer is a tiny bit too light for me, and I find that putting it on underneath my foundation and then just blending foundation up to it works out well if you have a concealer that's a bit too light. I'm going to use my ring finger to gently blend this in, and less is more with concealer for aging under eyes. Just enough to brighten it up and conceal any under eye darkness, but not so much product that it emphasizes the crepey skin or wrinkles under the eye. Now I could have really done this either way, before foundation or after, but I tested this under foundation and I really liked it that way, so that is the way I'm going to show you today. And certainly you can use a sponge. I'm a big fan of the Paw Paw blender. This one's a tiny bit dirty, but this is a nice sponge because you can use it both dry, which this is dry and soft, but you can also dampen it, and it will help to remove any excess product and just smooth everything in. We're going to move on to the Ambient Soft Glow Foundation by Hourglass. I will list the color in the description box below. I'm just going to take one pump. I find on mature skin, anybody over 35, 40, that using too much foundation can lead to problems. So it really can emphasize the pores and fine lines. So I like to start at the middle of my face and work out, and then add foundation as I need to. I love the packaging of Hourglass foundations, Hourglass products in general. I think they're just beautifully packaged. One thing I will say is I find that the shade range for me sometimes can be hard to find an exact match, but this one blends in pretty well. I'm gonna just take another half a pump. I don't need much. Of course, fingers would work fine, and a brush. I just really love these Paw Paw blenders, and they're so cheap. I feel like I get a more airbrush finish, and it looks more skin-like, regardless of the foundation that I use, unless it's like a skin tint, and then sometimes the sponge can shear it out too much. And I'm just going to bring it down onto my neck a little bit and back into the hairline. So I'm going to move on to the Milani Liquid Contour. You guys, I think this is a pretty good dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury contour that's always sold out, and I love Milani products. They're so affordable. For drugstore products, I feel like they act like high-end products. Now, one mistake that people make is bringing the contour or the bronzer down too low, and that drags things down. Keeping it up a little bit is important, especially as we age and things are dropping anyway. I have a big forehead, so I'm going to run a little bit of that along my forehead, and then of course I always like to contour the jawline a little bit. And if you have any kind of loose skin or double chin, it helps to shadow that area. You can use a brush, but I'm just going to keep using this blender. It's so versatile. It's probably the tool I use the most. Keeping that up high and just really blending that good around the perimeter of the face, making sure there's no lines. And I lost an earring. Now you can see there's just more balance in the face. It's not just a solid color with the foundation. And that's one of the things I love about contouring. Now I'm going to move on to the Rare Beauty blush, and this is in Nearly Neutral. And I like to take the end of the blender and pounce it in there. It gives such a nice flush of color and it blends in so nicely. Now I do have the liquid blush. My daughter Abby stole that one. She loves it. And of course, if you'd like to, you can bring what's left over your nose so you get a nice wash of color over the front of your face. Now I'm going to use the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder. This is my favorite powder for setting under eyes, but just for the face in general. And I try not to use much, but I love these little triangle puffs. They're so good for under eye. You don't need much. I'm just going to lightly set that in to avoid creasing. And I actually find that this concealer by Charlotte Tilbury does set just fine without powder, but I'm in the habit of setting it down with a little powder. And then I do my chin just a little bit, corners of my nose here, and then just a little bit here in my forehead. And then I'll take a big powder brush and just ever so lightly just hit the rest of my face. I don't want a powdery finish, but I do want the makeup to look airbrushed and last all day. And if you ever do feel like you can see the powder on your skin, just take that blender and go over the face. It'll smooth out any powdery look on the face. Now I do like to take a powder bronzer just so that that bronzer and sculpted look lasts throughout the day. This one is Too Faced and this is the Chocolate Soleil. And I'm just going to take that same brush, and you don't need much, this is really pigmented. And with a very light hand, I'm just going to reinforce that bronzer. And of course, you can run that around the perimeter of the face as well. What's left on there, which is hardly anything, but I feel like it just blends everything out. All right, now I'm going to move on to eyes. We're going to go in with this Nabla palette. This is the Side by Side Nude palette. Let me show you the colors in here. I've had this one for a while, but haven't really played with it. I like to start with a fluffy brush, and I'm going to use this kind of slightly skin toned color just to lay down a transition color. It's called Bonjour. And just above the crease, back and forth. And then bring it down just a little what's left on the brush here. And this kind of sets the stage for the other colors. And sometimes just the ever so slightest bit of shadow above the crease back and forth, even if you're not an eyeshadow person, will help to lift the eyes, especially with hooded eyes. So you could certainly stop at that just to give a little contour to the eyes. But I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit more. We're going to a concert tonight. We're going to go see Matt Mason in Denver. Abby and her boyfriend were going to go, and then Adam and I, we love Matt Mason so much, we're like, okay, we're going to go too. So it's like a double date. So I'm going to go in with this slightly deeper color here. This is Burnt Sienna. I'm going to take the same brush and just a couple dabs of that and just build up a little richness in the corner. Just little circles, and once I've got all that pigment off the brush, or most of it, I'm going to kind of work it in a little bit better, and just back and forth. And less is more, because this is very pigmented. You can always build up, but if you get too much, it can get kind of patchy and hard to blend in. I'm going to go in with the shade Better Society. It's a nice shimmer shade. Because I'm going out tonight, I kind of want to do up my eyes a little bit shimmery. You can use a finger. I'm going to use a applicator because my fingers tend to be a little big, I think, and they just get a little messy for me. Let me see if I can use my finger without making a mess. I guess it isn't too bad, but I do like these applicators. Now we're going to go back in with some darker colors, but I just want to get the shimmer on so I can see where we're headed. You definitely get more color payoff when you use your fingers. If you like to use eyeshadow primers, you definitely get a more vibrant, saturated look with a primer. I'm going to take this color Body and Soul, and I'm going to get that in the inner corner of my eye. Now, one thing to be aware of is that shimmers do accentuate crepiness, so I don't wear a lot of shimmers or glitters during the day, but if I'm going out at night, I kind of like how the light catches it. And I always say, wear what you love and makes you feel beautiful, even if people say you shouldn't do it over a certain age. Now I'm going to take a smaller brush here and go into this color Tempura, and we're just going to create a little depth in this outer corner. I'm just going to kind of draw it on, and then we'll blend it in with a bigger brush. In a little bit, creating that outer V. This creates a little bit of lift too. All right, you can see that looks pretty harsh right now. And we're going to go back to that fluffy brush and just start blending that in. I'm going to dip back into that first color. This was the Bonjour color. Just blend the edge. And then I'm going to take a smaller brush like this. For the under eye, I prefer to use shadows on the under eye as opposed to eyeliners because I think they're softer, especially on aging skin. So I'm going to start with the burnt sienna. And just bring that, connect the top to the bottom lash line. And then I'm going to go into that darker Tempura and just get the corners a little deeper. And I'm going to go into the Tempura again, and I just want to, looking at it, I want to deepen up the corner just a little bit. And then blend it out a little bit more. Now some people like to do their brows first before eyeshadow. I kind of do it the other way, but whatever you are more comfortable with. I like to get my eyeshadow on and then do my brows. So I like to take a Q-tip and just go over the brows to make sure there's not too much makeup on them. And today I'm going to use my Chantecaille. This is the Waterproof Brow Definer. I'll list the color down below. It's hard for me to see without reading glasses, a sign of my 50 years on this earth. And I'm just going to go in and just in little feather strokes. I like to focus on the outer 2/3 and then just a little product in the front. This is a nice creamy formula. It does last quite well. It is a little bit of a splurge. Most Chantecaille products are, but this has been my go-to brow pencil. And as we age, we tend to lose a lot of definition in the outer half of the brow, losing that tail, and it starts to make us look a little more aged. So this brings definition back to the eyes. And then a few upward strokes here in the front, very lightly. I put more pressure back here and then less pressure up front. And then I like to take the spoolie and just soften it up a bit. Such a difference. And we're also going to put a little brow gel on there. So, and that's optional. I really like a brow gel. And if you don't like a super structured brow, try a tinted brow gel and skip the pencil. It'll be softer. Now there are many really good brow pencils. The e.l.f. actually from the drugstore is a good one, and both my girls use that one. And it has a somewhat similar formula. I think the Chantecaille is better, and because I have it, I'm using it. It's my go-to lately, but you can definitely get a good brow pencil and not spend as much. Now, another hack for using a eyebrow pencil is using it for eyeliner because it's softer than a regular eyeliner pencil. So for aging skin, if you want a little bit of soft definition in the outer corners of your under eye, try using your brow pencil because it does make it look a little softer, a little less harsh under the eyes. I am going to be wearing a strip lash today, you guys, so I'm going to start by putting on a little bit of the Maybelline Sky High Mascara. Now, I naturally have the tiniest eyelashes. I had cancer back in the year 2000, and my eyelashes just never recovered from that. I never had great eyelashes, but they are definitely wimpy. So I'm going to put on just a little bit of mascara, and then I'm going to put on these incredible lashes. I forgot my brow gel, you guys. That's something I really like on my eyebrows. It just picks up those tiny brow hairs and makes your brows look like you have more natural hair there. So this is my favorite brow gel, you guys, the NYX Tinted Brow Mascara. This is the color Chocolate, and I try so many high-end brow gels and I always come back to this one. You don't need much pressure, but it just picks up those tiny baby hairs you didn't even know you had and makes you look like you have more brows than you do. So before I do my lips, I like to just run a Q-tip over them I have a little Aquaphor on my lips, which is one of my favorite things to put on my lips to hydrate them before I do my makeup. So I have the Milani Understatement Lip Liner, and this is in Cafe au Lait. I love the Milani lip liners and lip products, and I liken them a lot to Charlotte Tilbury. I think that they do a fantastic job on their formulation, and it's such a reasonable price. My lips are a little dry. I like to line the whole lip. And this lip color is called Tease. It is a beautiful nude. I'm gonna pop on these beautiful, the bright lashes in the style Flutter. And they're like a 3/4 lash. I absolutely love them. I'll show you in just a second. I'll be right back. You guys, aren't these lashes so pretty? They are so soft and easy to wear. So what I like to do is I like to tight line a little underneath the lash. You can kind of see there's a little gap. Now for those who aren't as lash deficient, you would want to make sure you get mascara in the inside lashes. I have almost nothing there, so I do like to mask that a little bit with some tight lining. And this is the Maybelline Lasting Drama. I feel like for somebody who's lash deficient, that really blended in the lashes really well. So I'm pretty happy with how this looks. I may add a little more eyeshadow to intensify that right before we go to the concert, but I think this is a good, appropriate look for someone who's over 50. And now all I have to do is decide what I'm going to do with my hair. And I'm gonna just add a quick spritz of the Milani Make It Last. I love this because it's a good finishing spray, but it also has an extra SPF of 30. I also get my neck and chest, what's showing. If you guys like this makeup look, please give this video a thumbs up. If you have any comments about the products I used, please do so in the comment section below. I appreciate each and every one of you for joining me today. Remember what I always say, be good to yourself and to others. I'll see you next time.